Namaste, it's Saraya here, and I've felt to do this spontaneous video today, and I'll be sharing more on my YouTube channel, so you can subscribe if you're interested in hearing more after today. The series of videos that it looks like are coming are sharing about awakening and living awake, and what it was that helped me to awaken and be able to maintain clarity and live in a wonderful state of acceptance, something one of my wonderful mentors calls the great okayness, where everything is okay. It might be uncomfortable, but it's okay. And there's a wonderful acceptance. So some of you don't know me, or a little bit of history, and I don't want to go into too much storytelling here because I'd really like to get to the point, and sometimes stories take us way away from the point. But my history is, as a young child, I would run into the bush and felt like I was talking to the divine, would write poetry, and as a young person became a seeker, looking for something extraordinary in life, a different way of living. At a very young age, I joined an ashram and lived as a swami, following a yogic lifestyle for the whole of my 20s, which was wonderful. You know, it was a beautiful, idyllic existence during that time, and I learned a great deal through the practice of meditation, yoga, mindfulness, and natural living, organic farming, and eating, you know, a healthy Ayurvedic diet, etc., which I still follow to this day. I still do my, you know, daily yoga practice to take care of the body, and teach mindfulness to people who are struggling in life as a first step. And for many years I worked also as a naturopath and helping people to turn their health around while acknowledging the psychological, emotional aspects to their ill health as well. So very much like a medical medium, really. There was something missing, and after the death of my son, which you can read about if you wish in my book, I don't want to go into that story here. These recordings, I hope, are going to help you to awaken to truth and live a life of peace. During the grieving period, particularly when my son was dying, after he was taken off life support, I noticed a struggle of wanting to be absolutely 100% present, being with him, because it was our last precious moments on this planet Earth together as mother and son. But at the same time, there was an aspect of my mind that was going, oh my God, this can't be happening. Why is this happening to us? And fighting against it. So there was this fight between resistance to what is, because it was so uncomfortable and so tragic, and wanting to be 100% present and available to each and every breath that we were sharing together in that 11 hours. And after that, I went through quite a strong period of grief, as you can imagine. But from that, there came fresh insight and a great peace, and I share a lot of those insights and the clearing up and the falling away of the false self and identifications and past beliefs that would no longer serve the truth, until I was in a pretty amazing place, actually, travelling with my wonderful husband and sharing the love of my other children and singing, and my life was great, but there was still a little something that hadn't clicked in for me until I met a wonderful teacher who has become a mentor of mine. And he said something which shifted everything. It was just like the balloon popped. And in that shift, everything clicked for me, and a great clarity joined the awakening that I had experienced quite a time prior to that. But I found myself slipping in and out of clarity and awakeness. When I say awakeness, I mean to the one thing that's going on, to absolute presence, to a sense of being. And what he shared with me, I'm going to share with you today, and it might not seem like much, but I hope it makes as big a difference for you as it did for me, because I just see how many people go through life seeking enlightenment, seeking a state of peace that is everlasting, and seeking to become the enlightened being that they hope to become and live consciously. And the big thing is that no one can become enlightened. And that sounds so simple, doesn't it? But what I realised was, and we talk about the backward teaching, where being is, as Gandhi says, the divine radio is always playing. We simply have to tune into that. Consciousness is, awareness is, and we're always directing our awareness towards something, to an object, whether that object is the body, whether that's in sound, in meditation. We use it a lot in mindfulness, directing our awareness to objects, whether that be sounds, tastes, visuals, breath, pulse. But they're all objects. And it's only when we become aware of awareness itself and realise that the individual separate self, the individual separate entity, and Sarayaness, as we have here, the character, will never become enlightened. The enlightened being is in the being. It is awareness itself. It is consciousness itself. And once we tune into the awareness of the awareness and that beautiful state of beingness, then because we live in duality, we can then express through the individual character, and the individual character here is called Saraya, and you get Sarayaness, that's the juice that comes out of here, and there's a personality that goes with that, as there is with any other human or character, on this human plane of duality. But the point being, and that was the point that popped for me, if Saraya, the individual separate character, is looking to become enlightened, she'll never become enlightened. awakeness is here, beingness is here, and it's becoming aware, that awareness of the awareness that is perceived through the individual separate self. The individual separate self, just by being an individual separate self, remains separate as a physical entity. But there is that field of awareness, consciousness, that links everything as one. And when we expand into that, we can experience that peace, that great okayness with whatever's happening at any given time. There will still, because of the world of duality, be experiences coming through here. There may be some sadness, there may be some happiness, there may be some joy, there may be some tiredness, there may be some physical pain. But this will be seen from the great okayness as something that's moving through and impermanent. So that's the little gem, and I hope it wasn't too long-winded. I hope you could stay with me for that. I'd love to hear from you, so please send in your questions if you have any. I am committed for the rest of my life to help us all, me included, Sarayanus included, to keep out of the way of awakeness and develop greater clarity. So entering into peaceful presence with clarity and grace. So namaste, always with love. Thank you.